Greetings, Earthlings. It's me, Shaman Patrick, coming at you from Edgar Casey's hometown, the birthplace of the New Age, for whatever that's worth. Hey, I want to thank you all for watching and growing with us. This has been a very tough year for me personally. Well, a lot of tough years, and primarily the biggest barrier to my healing and my growth was not being able to tell the truth to people, not being able to tell the truth and not being able to live in truth. I mean, I wanted to live in truth. It's just it was very difficult, because if I ever wanted to talk about the truth with some people, they would have a complete come apart. Maybe you might have this going on in your own life, but at some point it becomes a life or death situation, and you have to tell the truth no matter what. So thank you guys for supporting and liking the work that I do here along with my husband, because it means the world to us. You know, we had to rely on you guys through a very difficult time, and I appreciate it so much. So as I enter my final form, I'm not in my final form yet. You know I'm not. I've had a huge shift recently, a huge shift, and it came about because I told the truth about something to someone who didn't want to hear it. But it didn't matter. I have shifted. I was finally able to tell the truth, and boy howdy, everything has changed. So thank you for being patient with me as I work on my own ego issues and my own pain body stuff that I didn't really expect to have to deal with at this stage in the game. But man, it hides out. It hides out. Whoo! That's why when you hear somebody say, well, I don't have an ego, I'm free of ego. What are you talking about? I don't have a pain body. Run, run, run. Everybody deals with this shit. Spiritual masters still deal with this shit. Run far away from anybody who says that they are completely free of ego. I mean, I've had an ego break. Many of you have had an ego break, but there's still conditioning and programming. And you know what? The ego hates more than anything? The truth. So today on the Shaman Patrick Show, we're going to talk even more about the truth and why it's so necessary to live in truth. Do you want to know? I want to feel good too. Let's bring some of that bon ami. Let's feel good today on the Shaman Patrick Show. Let's go.
He was once a storm in human form, sharp tongue, cold soul, heart worn and torn, living like a ghost who missed his grave till the spirit sang out and called him brave. He got rewired by the great unknown, heard the call like a dial tone to the bone. So pull up a chair, enjoy the glow. This is the Shaman Patrick Show.
I want to start off by thanking those of you who have spent the $2 a month to join this channel. All 22 of you. It's amazing. I want to shout you out. Jess, Emma, Autumn, Amanda, Bessie, Soul Spark, Ginger Snap, Sarah O, Dan the Man, Gwendolyn, Olive. Wait, hold on. Ascension Evolution. Hold on. It keeps messing up. Yoni, Karen, Alma, Kelly, Aura, Natalie, Amy, Denise, Julia, and an Accidental Warrior. Thank you guys so very, very much. I appreciate it so much. I need to come up with a better way of shouting you guys out. I'm not going to do it all the time, but thank you so very much. Okay, so the truth is, when you go through a rough time, you should be able to reach out to your family. You should be able to reach out to your support system. But what if your support system doesn't want you exposing any secrets? I have cleavage. I just noticed this. Has this been going on? I have been working out a lot. I'm not trying to be slutty, but if my body gets any better looking, I'm just going to be here with my shirt off. Because I fucking earned it, bitches. At 53 years old, I'm just going to sit here with my shirt off. So anyway, but when your family is not going to support you, what do? Well, you have to look outside of that. And you guys supported us through a very difficult time. I can't impress that enough. I would much rather have turned to family and support systems for help through this difficult time. But they told us to suck it and that we were on our own, file for bankruptcy. And telling the truth about that has been very freeing, but it also made them look kind of bad. And it does. It does make them look bad because, look, I'm getting better without these people in my life. Merrick's getting better without these people in our life. And the proof is in the pudding. Like, if they were really good for us, we would be getting better when they're in our lives, right? But it's often the opposite. Like, whenever I have dry drunks, active addicts in my life, I get sick. I gain weight. I stop being able to take care of myself. Why is that? Why does self-care go out the window? And I think it's because you have to spend so much mental energy going on these wild goose chases and going on all these mental sojourns, because obviously they've got something to hide. Okay? Families like this have something to hide. Workplaces like this have something to hide. Truth tellers freak these people out. But I know, when I was negotiating things with my family, I was like, look, I'm going into a phase of my life where the truth is important, where the truth matters. And, your issues with drugs and alcohol, I'm not going to mention them. Okay. I'll cover for you. Okay. But I do want you to go get treatment, and I do want you to go get help. Otherwise, we're just not going to be able to be in each other's lives. Sometimes they might say, well, I don't have a problem with drugs or alcohol or lying or manipulating or gaslighting. And here's the thing. It doesn't matter if they see it. It doesn't matter if they see it or not. If they're really bad off, if their ego has taken them over, they won't be able to see it. But it doesn't matter. If they can't hear the truth, it doesn't matter. You see the truth. I think I went round and round with people about this. They kept saying things, I'm not an alcoholic, or I'm not an addict, or just really upset about it. And in saying that, and them saying that, those things, they revealed how they really felt about me. They really thought that as an alcoholic, I was sick, or that there was something wrong with me, or they let their feelings know. Anybody who has issues with being called an alcoholic, the hit dog will holler. The hit dog will holler. So sometimes when you're speaking truth to people, they'll feel something. If it's true, it might hurt them. If something's true, they'll probably be very defensive over it. So like, if you called me a lesbian, what would I do? Well, obviously I'm not a lesbian. If you called me a rooster, I would say, well, not a rooster. If you called me an alcoholic, I'd be like, yeah, you're right. You're right. Because see, when we're speaking truth, it doesn't matter. If it's not true, it shouldn't bother you. And I know this is hard for people to wrap their heads around, but you can call me any name that you want because I know who I am. And people who know who they are, you can't really call them names that are not true. You can call me names. Call me them. Go ahead. Call me a name. Any name you want in the chat, but don't get banned off of YouTube. But you can call me any name you want. You can say all sorts of outrageous shit about me. And if it's not true, it really doesn't bother me. It doesn't. But I noticed that when I was trying to negotiate sobriety, new relationships with people, people who were trying to cover something up, they had a real hard time with honesty. They had a real hard time. And I'll be like, honey, nobody's judging you for the things that you did. Nobody's going to judge you, but we can't pretend anymore. I want to live in truth with you. I want to have an honest, healthy relationship with you. And they had complete come aparts about it. So compassion is the rule of the day. Compassion, because even though we know how hard it is to tell the truth at first, but it gets easier. Let's get started with this presentation today. Let's get started. Are you living in lies? Work backwards. You don't have to be a philosopher to figure out whether you're living in lies. Just work backwards from the symptoms. Are you anxious, nervous, constantly upset? Do you wrestle with neuroses, addictions, or insomnia? Do you stew in resentments and grievances that never seem to go away? If so, there's a good chance dishonesty is hiding somewhere in your life. Lies aren't just mental games. They live in your body. They twist your gut, keep your mind racing at night, and fuel endless cycles of anger and despair. Dishonesty is exhausting. It forces you to carry the weight of stories that aren't real, while the truth is always light, clear, and simple. The good news, these symptoms can be relieved, often dramatically, by telling the truth. The moment you stop pretending, stop covering, and stop trying to manipulate reality, something shifts. The anxiety loosens, the grievances dissolve, the addictions lose their grip. Living in truth isn't just a moral stance, it's medicine for the soul. I didn't tie up my hair right. I'm not looking at myself in this camera anymore. All right, so here's what I want to say about that. If you're sick, we talk about disease starting in the mind. If you're sick in any way, shape, or form, if you're suffering in any way, shape, or form, take a look at if you're being dishonest with yourself or with other people. Just take a look at it. And you might find that if you're having to keep up appearances, if you're having to pretend that nothing is going on, it can actually make you sick. It can cause disease in the body. It causes a lot of stress to keep all these narratives going. And the most helpful thing, I think, is to realize that if you were living in truth and honesty and being authentic, and what does being authentic mean? Living according to your values, your beliefs, and opinions. Living in accordance to those things. When you start speaking truth and you live according to your beliefs, values, and opinions, then life gets easy. Life gets really easy. I'm not 100% there yet, okay? I'm coming out of a fog of falseness. Like, I had no idea people in my inner circle were lying to me, keeping secrets from me, and hiding things from me. I had no idea. But if I look back on those times, I was like, I caught something in my gut was always, my alarm bells always went off around these people. And I'm looking forward to my IBS going away. The more I live in truth and the more honest I am, even making these videos, when I'm honestly speaking on these videos, my stomach problems leave. It's remarkable. So I know that speaking truth, living in truth, has great health benefits. Hey, are you a health nut? Then you'll love truth. It's a tonic. It'll clear it up for you. But it can be difficult to speak the truth to a lot of people. But you have to decide to actually live in truth. What does that actually mean? At some point, you have to make a choice. Keep living in the swamp of lies, half-truths, and excuses, or step onto solid ground and live in truth. The decision itself is simple, but not easy. It means giving up the comfort of fitting in, the illusion of control, and the ego's favorite escape routes. The moment you decide, things will shift. At first, you'll probably lose people. Those who rely on your compliance won't like the new you. Some relationships may fall apart. Old identities may crumble, but in their place, you gain something priceless, peace. You sleep better. You breathe easier. Your body stops buzzing with the static of suppressed reality. Then comes the after. Life begins to line up in strange ways. The right people show up. The wrong people drift away. Opportunities that used to slip through your fingers suddenly land in your lap. You find yourself less fragile, less reactive, less afraid. Living in truth doesn't make life perfect, but it makes you real. And once you taste that, you'll never want to go back. Ever, ever, ever. You'll never want to go back to being a fake ass bitch. In my case, I I thought people were being honest and truthful with me. And I'm just going to give you an example. I knew somebody who was a health nut. They were a real health nut. Like me. I don't put just anything in my body. I look at ingredients. I look at all this stuff. I look at everything. I want to know what I'm putting into my body. It's to the point now where if something is pre-processed, we call it pre-digested. It's already been digested. If you eat ultra-processed foods, they're probably gonna make you sick because it's like eating vomit, eating puke. So I really closely follow what I put in my body. And I knew somebody who also did the same thing. And when, they were pushing the jibby jabs on everybody, I assumed that this person was not just gonna line up for that because nobody knew what was in it. The ingredient, if you look in the package, there was no ingredients in it. Like it was just a blank piece of paper. So nobody knew what was in it. God knows. I figured I have enough health problems. I don't need to add anything to that. I had a PCP that was supporting me in that. I said, I think it's unnecessary. I already have a great immune system. So, I just assumed that this health nut who was all into natural things and very healthy would feel the same way. And when they started harassing me to get a jab, I said, "What are you talking about? You're a health nut. What do you mean?" And they're like, "Well, it's what we're supposed to do." And I'm like, "You're a health nut. Why would a healthy person, why would somebody who's so healthy, this person doesn't even," told me that they didn't even like to take medication. They were a health nut. They didn't eat red meat. They were just like all that. Then I realized, oh my God, this motherfucker is programmed. This is not an authentic person. This is a programmed person. This guy had been fronting that he was genuine for years, like genuine, real. I'm just being real. I'm just being honest. But man, that was something that I saw and I couldn't unsee it. I was like, he's just going along with whatever. And I was like, that explains a lot. That explains a whole hell of a lot, you see? And so I thought that was the end of it. And I said, you know what? You're a health nut, so I don't understand why you would do this. And he said something along like, you're right. That was crazy. I don't know why I did that. I must have been programmed or something. I'm like, okay. So then like another year goes by and I'm with this person again, and we're having this conversation about, and I said, yeah, I can't believe, and you only got the one. And he said, oh, I got the full round. I got boosted twice. But I'm not going to tell much more about that. But at that moment, I realized that this motherfucker was a liar. This guy is going to lie. He's not going to tell me the truth. He's just going to lie about it. And I caught him in that lie. See, when you catch these people in the lie, they freak out. They panic. And you're probably not going to be a part of their life anymore. But they might want to run a smear campaign on you as they're walking out the door. They will, since you know that they're a liar, they're probably going to start telling other people that you're a liar. So this is what causes disease, and this is what causes people to be sick. But you have to realize that guys like that, it's not his fault. It's not his fault. I'm like, most people don't pay attention to what other people say like I do. I'm a listener. I listen to people. Then I look like a little troll when I do that. I listen to people. But I do listen to people and I hear what they say. And if they start having inconsistencies and stuff like that, I'm like, you told us something differently 2 weeks ago. Like that, people just don't pay attention. But I pay attention to what people say. I do, especially in my personal life. Why would I not? But when you start catching people in lies, you realize people just talk. You also realize that there's a lot of propaganda and brainwashing. Most people have been raised inside a cultural fishbowl filled with propaganda, programming, and narratives pushed by media, schools, and institutions. When you finally wake up and say, that doesn't look right, you're not just challenging an idea, you're threatening their entire worldview. For someone who's been spoon-fed lies for decades, the truth feels like poison. They'll lash out, not because you're wrong, but because you've cracked their protective shell. Now, for those of you who resisted the jibby jab, did you resist the jibby jab? Well, I am so proud of you, because that was one of the hardest things to resist. Being threatened by, like, you stood up for everyone in America. I know this. That's what I was doing. I was like, you know what? You should not be able to force this on people. I considered that very wrong. Also, I felt like if I didn't resist, I would feel like a piece of shit for the rest of my life. And even though we were threatened with our jobs, both of us, we were going to get fired from our jobs. We figured it was better to get fired from our jobs and possibly lose our livelihood and our house and all of that than to allow this to go on in America, forcing people to undergo untested experimental medical procedures. But we also realized a lot of people were brainwashed and propagandized into that. So those of you who resisted that, like for those of you that took it, I understand why you did. I understand why you did. You might have had things going on and it just wasn't worth the fight. I get it. I get it. So for those that did resist and stand up against it, you showed that authoritarianism, as long as there's just a few people that stand up against it, we want those few people to stand up against it. If, you know, as a child, I was told, if everybody jumps off a cliff, would you? I remember my parents saying that. I remember my aunt telling me that. And then all of a sudden, now that everybody's an adult, it's like, hey, come jump off this cliff with us. It was shocking. There was a time in my life that people said, you can't believe everything you see on TV. And in 2020, it was like, you must believe everything that you see on TV. Having objections to that kind of stuff, very weird. So you know that people have been propagandized and brainwashed because they change shit up like that. They change shit up like that. And, and people told me it was about the public health. I'm like, since when does the government care about public health? Honey, I work in recovery. These people are dying of fentanyl every fucking day. All of a sudden, the government cares about public health? What the fuck have you been? I mean, HIV killed so many people before the government decided to do something about it. That was the funniest. I should do a COVID greatest hits. The fucking crazy shit that's for the public health. Since when? That's why you got to save yourself. That's why you got to care about yourself. But also, let's talk about this control mechanism. Outrage as a control mechanism. When you speak truth, you'll notice how quickly outrage, anger, or ridicule come flying back at you. This isn't random. It's conditioning. Their response is meant to train you like a dog. Shut up. Stop saying that. Stay in line. After a while, you might find yourself biting your tongue just to keep the peace. That's how the cycle of silence spreads. But here's the secret. The louder the outrage, the closer you are to hitting a nerve of reality. It's why when you call your dad an alcoholic, he goes, oh, my heart. Oh, my heart can't take it. And then your mother would say, don't talk about certain things in front of your father. It upsets him. It's why other family members are like, they have come aparts when you talk about the truth. Like, I remember trying to talk to my sister about my father, who had whole ass children outside of, away from us that we would never know. She got mad. How dare you speak of dad that way? I'm just speaking the truth here. I didn't call him a horrible man. I didn't call him anything like that. When you speak the facts and the outrage comes, what did I say exactly? somebody said, well, there's just the one child. And I said, that we know about. That we know about. There's probably kids all over the states. Dad was a truck driver that we know about. How dare you talk about your father that way? God. No, but he did have other kids. It did come out eventually. But at the same time, when you're just speaking facts, their outrage trains you away from it. I know that in both of our families, when we started having you might be an alcoholic conversation with other family members, they had come aparts and a hit dog hollers. Sure, they had complete come aparts. Oh God, it was scary. Many people carry private shame, secrets, or parts of themselves they've buried deep. A truth teller is like a flashlight in a dark basement, terrifying for anyone hiding skeletons. The truth doesn't just reveal facts, it reveals people. And those who live in shadow fear being seen more than anything else. That's why they'll fight you hardest when you're closest to exposing what they don't want known. And you'll see this in families where you have somebody gets sober or somebody heals from a lot of different things. You'll see that in families. The family member that heals will more than likely get ostracized from the rest of the family. You might have a point person within your family or workplace or church or organization. You won't be allowed to speak to other members of the family without being supervised. So it's classic, it's textbook, it's a script, but you gotta speak the truth anyway. And they know you're going to speak the truth, so they're probably going to demonize you a lot, so that if you ever did speak to these people again, anything that ever came out of your mouth would be tainted through that lens. But it's not about exposing people's secrets. It's just about the truth, right? So assure people that you living in the truth has nothing to do with them. This is not about gossiping or broadcasting things that have to do with other people. You can negotiate relationships where you offer to cover for people as you move towards truth. You're not about pushing people out of the closet or forcing them to deal with stuff that they are not ready for. It can be quite shocking for others, especially if you have been dishonest to them, with them. Give them grace. Yes, of course, give them grace. Both of us, because Merrick and I kind of came from similar families, but both of us negotiated with the sicker people in our family. We tried to sit them down. We tried to have a talk with them. We basically said, we will cover for you where we won't say anything to your significant other or whatever, but our relationship needs to be on the up and up. Like, our relationship needs to be in truth. Like, we're not going to tell anything to anybody, but between you and me, the bullshit needs to end. And that's pretty much what we did. But in both of our cases, those honest discussions, oh gosh, we got punished for that shit. So you think that people will be able to handle a relationship negotiation, but eventually it becomes a life or death situation. You're like, okay, well, I'm not going to keep secrets for you either. Okay, so you offer to be real with people one-on-one. But as soon as they start demonizing you to other people, as soon as they start throwing you under the bus, as soon as they start doing that shit, then it becomes something you got to tell other people about. So you offer, like, I'll cover for you. And if they reject that, and then they start demonizing you to other people, well, then you're like, well, shit, now everybody's got to know about it. I wanted to keep this private between you and me. Now everybody's got to know about it. See? And that's how you know the ego is insane, because it's crazy, isn't it? These people wanted to keep it secret. It's like the Barbra Streisand effect. It's like the Barbra Streisand effect each and every time. And it's not about gossiping, but you do have to defend yourself against shit. Okay? You do have to set boundaries. Because these people that you tried to renegotiate with, you did it because you love them and you care about them, and they're out there trying to fucking destroy you, your livelihood, and all that shit. So don't feel bad about it. Okay? Don't feel like you're betraying people by speaking the truth about a situation. Even if you have to make a fucking YouTube channel and talk about it, you'd rather not talk about it publicly. Oh, I get you. You'd rather just keep it between you and you. But man, these people, they just fucking crazy. Excuse me. Like they'll call your work to try and get you fired. Okay, I'm back. These people will call your job to try to get you fired from your job. And when the HR department says, of course, they'll pull you in the office and say, why is this person saying these things about you? And you say, oh, it's just my mother. She pops pain pills. She was probably high when she called you. And she was trying to get you fired from your job because you knew the truth about her pain pill addiction. And she didn't want anybody to find that out. So she tried to destroy you. But people end up knowing all about it anyway because of it. Cuckoo crazy. It's kind of like Aubrey Marcus holding up bottles of addictive substances and saying, I can't stop using this. It's like, you know, the ego is insane. The ego is insane. But when you start speaking the truth, okay, people are going to disagree with you, and that's fine. I talk about a lot of different things on this channel, and I know that I talk about things that many of you or all of you might disagree with. But you know what? That's just fine. I want people to disagree with me. I want people to share their opinions, their beliefs, and it helps me. If people disagree with me, that's great. Here's why. One of the biggest traps for truth tellers is expecting everyone to get it. You lay out the facts, you speak with clarity, and you assume people will finally wake up. But here's the hard truth. Some won't, some can't, and some don't want to. That's their right. The moment you demand agreement, you're no longer serving truth. You're serving your ego. Truth doesn't need recruits. It doesn't need cheerleaders. It stands on its own, whether people clap or bop. So when someone pushes back, argues, or flat out rejects what you're saying, let them. Smile, shrug, move on. Disagreement isn't a threat. It's proof you're dealing with free agents, not robots. If you can't handle people disagreeing with you, then you're just another propagandist in disguise. Ironically, letting people disagree gives your words more weight. You're not forcing. You're not selling. You're simply being real. And this can be problematic in certain situations because the ego will automatically reject anything you say, whether it's a truth or a lie. Like if someone is in ego consciousness, you and you're trying to speak with them, you're automatically wrong, no matter what you say. And because the ego needs to be right. So if you're dealing with unconscious people, you're probably always going to be wrong, even if you're right. Okay? So just make your peace with that. But here I'm really talking about conscious people or people who are interested in the truth, who want to know the truth because they know that living in truth is easier, that the sane thing to do is to want to live in truth because there is a heavy, heavy cost to lies and secrets. It is. It hollows you out inside. So I want to know the truth about things. I really want to know. I'm also very open-minded. I'm willing to weigh evidence against my favored beliefs. I genuinely want to know the truth about something, and I'm suspicious about almost everything. I just don't automatically believe things. This is a weird projection, especially during 2020. And people were like, you've watched something, you're listening to conspiracy theorists, Patrick. You're being brainwashed. And I'm thinking, how could I be brainwashed? I look at all different sides of it. I want to know the truth about it. So I usually don't say something until I've thought about it for a long time. Like it may look like I'm just speaking shit off the top of my head, but I really do. I study 8 to 10 hours a day. I'm either reading, listening to something, and I'm a shaman and I have that the benefit of being able to do that. Not everybody has the benefit to be able to study 8 to 10 hours today, sometimes more, and also doing inner work on myself. So I know it sounds like I'm just saying things off the top of my head to some people, but I genuinely think about the things that I talk about. I don't speak unless I've genuinely thought about the topics that I'm discussing. So I know that I just don't believe everything, but sometimes people who disagree with me will just say, oh, you just believe this stuff. Nope, I don't. I'm a very skeptical person. Shamans are skeptical. How do you think shamans became shamans in the first place if we don't want to be shamans? No shaman wants to be a shaman. At least none that I've ever known. So shamans are very skeptical people. I mean, it takes a lot of convincing by the spirits before we accept the role. Like, I had to almost die multiple times before I accepted the role of a shaman. And most shamans have to be convinced by the spirits. You know, we have to endure a lot of petty tyrants too. And I just think it's funny. I just don't believe things. I don't. But I do know people who do believe things. They just believe whatever is told to them. And ironically, the people who just believe whatever have a really hard time with me. And truth tellers in general, people who just believe shit, they have a really hard time with us, because we are going to ask questions and we are going to want to get to the truth about it. We are. But let people disagree with you. And if you can let people disagree with you without losing your shit, you're golden. Because the only reason someone would disagree with you is that they just don't have the information that you have. I've offered to share information with people. I've offered to sit people down and go over stuff line by line. And they'll say, well, I don't have time for all that. Okay, well, let me just tell you. No. Okay. Okay. Maybe someday I will be believed by people. Maybe someday. But they're like, show me the evidence. Okay, well, here it is. I don't want the evidence. I don't want it. Thank you. Thank you. But no, I don't want all that evidence. Get out of here with all that evidence. I want to believe what I want to believe, even if it makes me sick and angry and drunk and tired. Get out of here with you wanting me to feel good. Just go away. I want to feel bad. I want to feel bad. Patrick's trying to make me feel good again. No. Patrick is coming in here with all this Bonami shit. What does that even mean? What is it? Bonami, I don't want it. I don't like Korean food. So why tell the truth? One of the things that you learn by working with other people, especially people in recovery, and I say this a lot because a lot of people don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Like, I've heard all the excuses that you could hear from somebody who wants to live in lies. I've heard it all. I was talking about Merrick this morning. Merrick works with addicts on a daily basis. I work with addicts, not on a daily basis anymore, but we've heard all the excuses. So when we hear these excuses coming out of people, it's like, we've heard this before from other people. We've heard this before. And that's why we can really help people get sober. We can really help people get sober because the excuses don't work. The excuses to not tell the truth don't work because you think that you don't want to rock the boat. If nobody knows about what a bad addict I am, then it's fine. I could just pretend like it's not happening. I could just pretend it's not even happening. So if you want to know why tell the truth, let's talk about that today. But we've heard all the excuses. We're not big excuses people because we used to give excuses as to why we couldn't get out of bed, do this, do that, recover, heal, do shadow work, start a YouTube channel, all that stuff. We're no excuses people. So a lot of times people get angry at us because we're like, that's an excuse. Oh, I know it sucks. I know it fucking sucks to talk to people to talk to no excuses people. I know that. But you should appreciate people in your life that don't accept excuses, or you should want people in your life to call you out on your own bullshit. I appreciate it. People who called me out on my own bullshit saved my life, okay? They saved my life. So if lying and going along with the crowd keeps you out of trouble, why bother with truth at all? Because truth is the only thing that sets you free. Lies rot you from the inside out. They pile up like garbage, breeding shame, resentment, and fear. Every time you hide what's real, you chain yourself tighter to the prison of other people's approval. Telling the truth is liberation. It clears your conscience, lightens your load, and keeps you from living in a constant state of paranoia. Truth also has a funny way of magnetizing the right people into your life, the ones who resonate with authenticity instead of performance. And most importantly, truth aligns you with reality itself. You stop fighting what is and start flowing with it. Yes, people may hate you for telling it. They may reject you, cancel you, or freak out. But long term, truth protects. Truth heals, truth endures. Lies eventually collapse under their own weight, but the truth remains standing long after the noise dies down. That's why you tell the truth. Not because it's easy, but because it's the only way to stay sane in a world built on illusions. You want to stay in truth because it's good for you. Are you a health nut? Just ask yourself that. Like if you're healthy in other areas of your life, if you watch what you eat, if you work out, truth is just healthy. Truth is just healthy. That's it. So, we've talked about the outrage. We've talked about the come aparts that people might have. We've talked about all of that. But when you decide that you want to live in truth and you understand how important it is, it might cause like a nuclear bomb going on in your life. You might have to take a hermit mode like I did. If you can take a hermit mode, please take advantage of it. And that's a shaman prescription. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to straight up give you some spiritual advice. If you're having trouble, hermit mode is the way to go. Hermit mode. How long has my hermit mode lasted? I had to get anybody out of my life who didn't tell the truth. People who were truth challenged. I couldn't listen to them anymore. I had to block people. But it's like, I don't want one lie. I need like a year for not one single lie to get into my life. I don't want to hear things that are not true anymore. I don't want to hear things that are not true. And especially from people who don't know that they're not telling the truth, repeating media narratives, freaking out about things from week to week that they saw on TV. I can't have that shit. When I get to the baseline, when I get into my final form that I've been working on this whole past 2 years, getting to this place where I can shift into who I truly authentically am, then I might be able to hang out with some people who are truth challenged. But the hermit mode is where it's at. You got to know what the truth is. You got to live in the truth. You got to know about it. You got to want it. You got to understand the value of it. And then you're going to have to learn how to survive as a truth teller. The key isn't to become a self-righteous crusader with a megaphone, but to anchor yourself in compassion. Own your flaws, admit your mistakes, speak from the place of we've all messed up, including me. When people see that you're not out pretending to be holier than thou, they can't weaponize your imperfections against you. Truth with humility is disarming. Get to the point with your past where you own all your shit, where you're not ashamed of anything that has gone on in the past. Get to that point. Yeah, I've done some things I'm not proud of, but I was also very sick and I was a drunk and an alcoholic. I used to be afraid that people would find out that I'm in a mental institute, that I was in a mental institution, that I was a former mental patient. But today, that gives me enormous credibility. And because I was in a place where I was locked up for being a danger to myself and other people, I encourage people to go into mental institutions, especially if they're a danger to themselves and other people. Bringing back asylums. Yeah, bring back asylums. But when I say that, it's because I was a danger to myself and other people at one point in my life. But all of that bad shit that I did in the past came to an end on March 25th, 2018, when I became aware of what I was doing. And so I do give grace for people who don't know what they're doing, or don't know, or don't have the balls to admit where they fucked up and what they did wrong. And I've made amends for all of it, so it doesn't hang over me like a cloud. Like if somebody said, well, Patrick, you used to sexually act out in bathhouses in Chicago. So you're damn right I did. Oh, hell yeah. Give me some meth and a Steamworks pass and I am in on that shit. I don't feel ashamed of that stuff anymore, but I was also very sick at that time. So there is a path to redemption with this. You can own your mistakes, but also I'm not going to make those same mistakes again. I'm just not. So I'm not ashamed of my past, but at the same time, if somebody wants to bring it up, I'm like, you're damn right I did. You were damn right. But also, everybody that I was involved in with my past were also drug addicts and alcoholics. We all did fucked up shit to each other. So blaming just me for that kind of stuff is, it's kind of like, yeah, we've all healed from that shit. We've all healed from no harm, no foul. I don't have any resentments and grievances towards the people that hurt me while they were drinking or using. I don't. No, I do have some maybe lingering resentments over people who said they were sober and actually were not, and tried to convince me that their rotten ass dry drunk behavior was sobriety. I'm working on that. I think I'm almost done with that. I'm done with that. But damn, I work on myself and all this. I don't want grievances. I don't want resentments. I don't want any of that shit. What do I want? I want to feel good. I want to feel fine. I want to live in the truth. And yes, you are going to have to work at it. You're going to have to work to live in truth. But I know this to be true, yo. I know this to be true. That truth makes life easier. Truth is hard at first, but once you start living it, life gets easier. I've got dry mouth. I've got cotton mouth. Not because I'm on drugs again, but it's my denture glue. Sometimes when I first put in my teeth, some denture glue gets out and it makes my mouth dry. So, didn't want to have to explain that. But when you're a former addict, why you got the dry mouth so bad? Okay. Lies require maintenance, cover-ups, justifications, endless games of pretend. Truth, on the other hand, runs on autopilot. You don't have to remember what you said. You don't have to juggle fake identities. The universe itself seems to lean in your favor when you align with what's real. It's like switching life from hard mode to easy mode. Hey, just this like dry mouth thing. There are so many tells that people are high or on drugs, and they try to cover them up all the time. One of them is, can I borrow $20? Like what? Nobody needs to borrow $20. A sober person doesn't need to borrow $20. That $20 is for drugs. So it's not 100% of the time. Don't get it wrong, but usually. Somebody who just needs to borrow $20, sober people, even if they don't have money, they'll be like, well, I can wait. I don't need it. But an addict or an alcoholic, they'll be like, they need that $20 for something. So another one is dry mouth. If somebody has dry mouth and they say they're not high, but they have dry mouth, or if they're overly nervous about something, or if they're tired. If they're at work, hungover, and then they just say, I'm tired. I'm just tired. So over time, you just learn for these tells. And so that's why I was like, I got dry mouth. It's crazy. My life. But finally, I do want to talk about what's true is true. What's false is false. Reality doesn't bend to belief or opinion. The more you practice speaking truth, the more natural it becomes. People may hate you for it, but deep down, they'll also respect you, even if it takes years for them to admit it. The truth is terrifying, liberating, and healing all at once, and it's always worth it. When you speak the truth, some people will spin out like helicopters with their blades on fire. Don't chase them. Don't try to calm them. Don't get sucked into their storm. Just let the whirlybirds whirl. Their chaos isn't your responsibility. The more grounded you stay, the faster they run out of fuel. Eventually, they either crash into their own nonsense or land themselves when they're ready. Either way, you don't have to join the circus. And that's the thing. So if you've tried to renegotiate relationships, if you've tried to let people know that you've changed, and yeah, you may have been able to lie to me in the past or whatever, it's not going to happen anymore. That's why I said this year, never again. Never again am I going to ignore the warning signs that someone is being dishonest with me. Again, I'm not, like, I don't expect people to be able to be completely honest with me at any time. I mean, it's really hard sometimes for people to be honest. I mean, I find it hard to be honest with people 100% of the time. So I got compassion for that kind of stuff. But then there's that pathological stuff, that weird kind of stuff. I'm not going to ignore that in the future. I'm going to call it out, because usually when people start acting that way and they've been sober, they're probably either heading towards a relapse or they're going to relapse. So I take a really big, like, never again. I'm not going to let somebody into my inner circle like that again. Never say never. But if I do have something like that go on again, I'll know how to handle it better this time. All right. So the AI song today is it's a throwback. It's a 70s disco song, and it's called What's True is True. And I love this spiritual lesson. And I love you guys so much. Thank you for everything. We love you so much. Mwah.
The truth was